so she can't be here today.
I wonder whether we can put into our work programme that we look to change the quality requirements, because there are some really big risks around not being, in particularly in December, after we weren't able to sign off the accounts. The auditors raised loads more questions, and it goes on and on and on. And in particular, we're looking at the national picture now, where there is a statutory backstop at the end of February. We very nearly ended up going into the backstop, wouldn't we? And that would have been really bad, considering how well the team had done in getting their accounts closed and ready to be signed off. But the good news is we have signed the accounts off now. And the audit has completed. Yes.
Yes. Yeah.
That's good. Yes.
Excellent. So and can I just for the minute as well say a huge appreciation to Claire and Louise and Rachel for doing some fantastic work, and I have to put my hands up far better than I'm used to. So I think you've done really well, and credit deserved for getting that done.
On that point, Chair, I think we need to make that point again, because I did it previously. A number of years I've been saying it. It's know very well.
Yes.
This is a problem with the combined authorities audit committee.
Yes.
I think it's universal with all combined authority committees. The way the quorum is fitted, it is not helpful. I think every time we ended up saying the same thing, well, the board will approve it in the end. It shouldn't have happened. I understand. Sorry, I'm just going to take a minute to take my anger out. In the past, yes, members didn't have the allowances. They used to come free. Some of us are crazy enough to come free. But then the argument was, oh, members don't get anything. They have to pay from their own pockets coming here, petrol or car, train services and so on, which is quite genuine comment. That is now addressed. And I don't see the reason for members not being able to be here. Yes, there are reasons. There can be other meetings. I understand that. We all understand that. We are all into many meetings. The problem is the quorum itself, the fixed. Other committees, even if this combined authority, they don't have that similar problem of the quorum. It's only the audit committees. I think the old I'm perhaps now saying being old man. When it was set up, that was the issue. We had 7 members. Then the other 3 members were accumulated later. And the original thought was that all 7 members should be involved. But now things are making difficult for us. I amazed a number of years I've been saying this. We need to address this quorum issue, not among us. We can't do much. We have to lobby the government through our governance officer that they should work across the bodies, combined authorities, to change these rules. So we can have, if we have 5 people coming here, they should be able to do it. Every time we are struggling with it, I think somebody is sitting on there just to punish the people like me who come, rather than those who are not coming. So I remember, you probably remember, Louis, last year, we were called second time again. I think there was a bit of a refrain, the word was used. The member should come here, they has to come again. And I don't think that was very helpful. I still think in my head, it is punishing us for being members of this combined authority. I think there should be issue that people should, this rules should be changed to accommodate so we can get the business done. So I think that's why I'm just taking out my chest again. So please, somebody could minute it, that the authority should work with other authorities to change the rules. It can be done. It's not difficult. It's just nobody seems to have putting effort into it. That's all. Thank you. Sorry, I just took my sort of piece.
I'd like to support that by the vice chair. We carry on like this, we might have to have a special meeting to sign the accounts off. And as you said, it's vitally important that we sign the accounts off, because it can cause all sorts of difficulty. 5 members, I think, would be
reasonable.
That's more than half, isn't it? And so if we need to write to the government and ask them, I think it would be advantageous for the committee to do it, and thank you both for raising it. It is important.
Yes, I think we all agree with the concept. Matt, can you take that away
Yeah,
on behalf of Helen?
certainly. We'll take that away. I don't actually believe there is a reason why we cannot change the quoracy. Overview and Scrutiny Committee has a quoracy, I believe, if I'm correct, Craig, based on the constituent members. So 2/3 of the 7 is 5
Exactly,
members.
that's the one, yeah.
How it's written at the moment within the terms of reference for this committee is that it is including the non-constituent members, which then creates a difficulty with quoracy if the non-constituent members do not turn up or if there are any issues with any other members. So I don't think there's any reason we can't. So I think it's something we can take away. We'd probably have to put a vote pass forward for that to change.
That would be
Can I
great.
just ask a question? The board meetings, is that 7 for core at all?
I believe it is because the board, I believe, is just constituent members voting. Is that correct?
Yeah.
I don't think there's a quorum of 7, but they have all have
No.
to come back there, yeah, because they are all interested when the decisions are made, yeah.
The attendance at the board
Yeah,
was
exactly.
very good, wasn't it?
Yeah.
So I think, are you saying, Matt, that it's just a matter of changing the terms of reference and the constitution, maybe?
Yes, so it would have to be a change in the constitution. I don't believe that there is a legal reason outside of that why we can't change that.
That's what we told last time. That is,
Oh, well, yeah.
Probably you remember, because I said we need to change the system here. And I was told, no, it's not us, it's we have to get the permission from other authorities do the same.
So-
Yeah.
We'll have a
Sorry.
conversation with Helen, the monitoring officer, and then we'll
Please.
bring it back to the next
Yeah,
meeting.
thank you.
Claire, did you?
I think what Helen was saying was what Matt is saying, that you can't change the proportion, but you can change the makeup of the board or the committee to make it easier to meet the proportion. Does that make sense? So I think that's what you're saying. Matt.
Yeah, so it has to be 2/3.
Yeah,
So
that's
it'd
already
be 2/3, but if we could
fine.
change the
2/3 is
makeup
fine,
of the,
Yeah.
That's what I was actually saying at that time, 2/3, when we're
Yeah,
talking
that's
about it.
really
yeah.
fine.
Yeah.
And no, there was a brushed out my proposal. So I thought that was a good sensible one.
So that sounds like it's not a too difficult thing to do, and we should be able to get that done.
Mhm.
Excellent, that would be great. Thank you.
Yeah, it's not for me, obviously, I may not be here next year, but obviously,
No, no,
but
it's-
the system should work.
Yeah.
That's the question.
Have
Yeah.
you got any idea how quickly we can change that?
It's the AGM, whenever the AGM, is, you can't change it otherwise, yeah, that's a
The
fact
next
of life.
AGM?
Next AGM will account for
June?
That'd be great, thank you.
June, that will be
Yeah.
fantastic. That's
Yeah.
not too long and well in advance of the next. Yes, it can. So excellent. Thank you very much. Okay, so moving on to the minutes then. Is there anything in the minutes?
Move to approve it, Chair, because I know I read that on the screen. That's the only thing I could read properly, was giving a bit of time. Yes.
Yeah, I'm happy with the minutes. Is there an update on Unit 4, Louise?
Unit 4, yes. So I did speak to Julian Patmore, who connected us to you. Thank you. Really helpful, because the council has a very similar setup to the combined authority, a Unit 4 setup, like the various modules are very similar. So it's really helpful to have that conversation with Julian. And they're going through the same process as us to implement contract management. So it's really helpful to share knowledge. And we're going to catch up again, as well as with colleagues from Wolverhampton, also Coventry, our Unit 4 as well. Carolyn from my team used to work at Coventry. So we've got a number of connections, but that was really helpful because Peterborough are doing exactly the same as us with contract management. But yeah, we'll continue those conversations. Really helpful. Thank you.
Excellent. And are we giving some assurance to the scrutiny committee as well? Because it was raised there originally, wasn't it? And it came here. And
Yes, there's a separate appendix that has been shared with Overview and Scrutiny Committee to the performance management report that sets the contract management progress, the systems progress into context. It's a meeting next Monday, so that's already been published, but it's only on Friday. So.
that's great. Thank you. That's great. And also on cybersecurity, is there an update on that?
On cybersecurity. So there is a there is an update on data protection. The annual report is today, which we will discuss, and some of cyber within there. And then also in the April meeting will be the meeting where we present the cybersecurity audit that's currently ongoing, and also an update by Mike, who is the Chief Officer of Digital Data. So they will be providing a paper and an update on cybersecurity in April.
Excellent. And there was that connection. I saw that over Christmas between the City of London Police. You are the cyber lead, so that was really useful as well. So then it looks like we're making good progress. Action list. Are we up to date for this? Anything there saying that we done or we good?
No, because we've covered those from your comments just about Unit 4.
Yep.
So thank you, Louise, for that update. And the other action is completed.
Yeah.
I think.
Excellent. And the work programme, if we can include the mail. If you can include the policy issue in the work programme, is that the right way to do it? So we don't lose sight of it and have that completed by the AGM in June? Right, so the first report then is the budget update and the financial monitoring. Claire, is that you?
Thank you, Chair. Yeah, so we've shared with you the Q2 report that went to CA board in January. I'm bringing it here for information and for assurance for you and to set the context of our financial position. I'll just give you some quick highlights and then perhaps just give you a sense of where we are in the budget setting process now. So as I said, it went to board in January. The only, in terms of decisions, the only decision was specifically around the mayoral office budget and any comments on that, and also in relation to procurement. But otherwise, it was an update on the in-year position and towards budget setting for next financial year. We continue to report that there's a forecast underspend for the current financial year, and that's still the same position now as we move towards Q3. In terms of transport, we're showing forecasting an underspend of 2.7 million, and that predominantly related towards Metro, and reflected in part because of the increase in fares that came in from January, and also some smaller underspends in relation to some projects and some grant. In terms of our programme budgets, we're projecting underspend about 2.4 million. Largely in relation to lower demand for external consultancy, and also again being able to utilise grants in different ways to reduce our local spend, which is really positive, and release of a provision that had been previously reported in the summer. The mayor budget continued to be slightly under plan, and that's reflected now in a reduced budget for next financial year. And Treasury still showing a significant increase in investment income, which you have heard through the Treasury Management reporting to this committee, and strategic use of these underspends in relation to reserves. So the board have approved a number of measures to utilise underspends in a targeted way to support particular projects, particularly in relation to transport, to both put investment into key projects, but also to increase financial resilience going forward. So, and all of that now is reflected in the reserves policy, which has been published for board approval on Friday this week. So joining up the in-year position and the strategy that they've been started with a longer term view now of our reserves, which is a really positive step forward. As we move forward, I just mentioned board on Friday. So the budget report has been published last week now for board on Friday, showing a balanced position. It picks up the updates in this report that you've got around integrated settlement. It takes forward all the sort of in-year positions translated into next year, and particularly around reserves. And for the first time, a reserves policy approved and published with that board report now for approval on Friday. So moving in a really good position. We're able now with the 3-year integrated settlement to take a much longer term view, which is really helpful, start to think beyond a year at a time. set a trajectory now of much more sustainable financial position, and you'll see a much reduced budget gap going forward as well. So yeah, things moving forward really positively. So happy to take any questions, Jim.
Just a comment, Chair, more than a question. I think that is actually, as far as I could read, it's nice, good report right in the right direction. The only thing I want to make comment, last year, when it came to the audit committee, there was a precept proposed in it. And I was the only one who said, no, I'm not in favor of it. And I'm glad this time there isn't one. In fact, my view somehow was taken on board by the board and they rejected it. Probably remember that issue. So I'm very happy that there's no precept, because it goes to the council tax, people just shout at us, you're increasing all the time. So that's a good bit of it. So we are happy. I'm certainly happy with it. Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you.
Thank you. So thank you for the report. I understand it goes up to Q2. It's now being into Q4 as an audit and risk committee. Is there any significant movements that we should be aware of?
Through you, Chair. So no, we're just putting together the Q3 report actually for the end of December data, and that will be sort of started to be circulated by local authorities for publication and going to board in March. So with that few months, as you know, you'll be familiar with local authorities as well. It's always that bit of lag, but no significant changes. Still the same sort of trajectory that you see in Q2. Yeah.
That was going to be my question as well. So
Yeah, yeah.
And the settlement was positive.
Yeah, so Chair, yeah, so we're still waiting the final settlement expected this week, but the provisional settlement before Christmas said that we'd get the 1.5 million that we expected from our combined capacity funding. We have been lobbying for more funding and we're in conversations with government about that, but so far nothing's come forward. Yeah.
When are you likely to ask that information?
We're expecting the final settlement this week.
Okay,
Yeah,
I thought that was.
Yeah, which is the same for local authorities, the same settlement, yeah.
Excellent. Thank you, Claire. No further questions. Thank you. And this has been everything, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, moving on to the next item, which is internal audit. And Matt, we had a meeting about this, and I have raised some significant concerns about the asset management. Are we doing that in private, or is that?
So we can obviously discuss the report, the public reports within this session, and then any further questions would be in private.
Yes.
Okay. So the purpose of this report is to provide the committee with an update on internal audit activities since the previous report in November 2025 and progress made against delivery of this year's internal audit. And since November, internal audit work has continued to concentrate on completion of the internal audit plan, the external grant determinations that are required by the funding bodies, progression of those audits, the core audits within the plan, and any reactive and counter fraud investigations as and when they come up. During the reporting period, 4 core audits have been completed to final report stage, and we're currently on track for 48% completion of the internal audit plan as of today. Whilst we remain on track, we do have ongoing resource pressures as previously discussed at this committee, and they continue to require careful management. No assurance areas have been removed from the plan this year, but the number of audits within some areas have been realigned to maintain appropriate coverage and focus on priority risks. These pressures really have been influenced by recent departure of a team member, leaving us temporarily 1 audit down across the internal audit team. To further support some delivery during this period, we have been able to bring in a counter fraud specialist as a consultant to provide some additional expertise and capacity within that particular area of concern. In terms of the Appendix 1 of the report, that provides the committee with more detail on the work completed since the previous update. The table at Appendix 2, the progress summary table, provides a high-level summary of the audits and their current status, either completed, in planning, testing, or reporting. I'll give a very brief update in terms of the 4 audits that have been completed within this period. Obviously, you will have had them in the past. So we completed the review of asset management, and that's been carried out to provide assurance over the management of portfolio and estates, asset lease and rent management across the combined authority. An overall opinion of limited assurance was provided, with 2 high and 9 medium recommendations being identified where improvements could be made. And within there at Appendix 2, you've got a bullet points of some of the key high risks within that area. Transport capital review, a review of Aldridge Station Transport Capital Project was carried out to provide assurance over governance, project oversight, budget management and risk management and procurement as well within the design development stage of the outline business case. An overall opinion of reasonable assurance was provided with 1 high and 5 medium recommendations made. We completed a review of employment relation casework. That was carried out to provide assurance over the effectiveness of case management processes, procedural compliance, document quality and adherence to legal and best practice requirements. An overall opinion of reasonable assurance was provided with 2 high and 4 medium and 1 low level recommendations identified. And finally, a review of local transport capital block funding, the specific grant for HS2 resurfacing, a bit of a mouthful that one, was carried out to provide assurance over the monitoring, oversight and compliance with the terms of the Department for Transport grant funding agreement. That one was an overall opinion of limited assurance with 3 high and 2 medium recommendations identified. That one, slightly differently, you wouldn't normally see necessarily a grant audit with this type of audit report because we're generally providing assurance statements for the funding body. But due to the seriousness of some of the issues that are identified during that grant, you've also got a report that is accompanied that. Section 4 of the appendix mentions changes to the internal audit plan. So as ever, we review the internal audit plan regularly to ensure it remains aligned to evolving organisational risks and the available internal audit resources. Since the previous update, several adjustments have been made following discussions with relevant risk owners. These are generally to reflect changes in risk profiles, operational timing and also resource availability. 1 audit's been removed from the plan, 2 audits have been deferred to 2026-27 and 1 new audit has been added to address emerging assurance requirements. So the staff travel card process that was deferred to 26-27 due to planned operational improvements and current audit resources. The single settlement support assurance work was removed from the plan as the risk profile is reduced, supported by the establishment of the Integrated Settlement HMG Programme Board. The Net Zero 5-year plan was deferred to 26-27 to ensure assurance activity aligns appropriately with the time of the operational delivery of that Net Zero plan. And also the Arts Council, a development fund audit to adapt the plan following a recent request for assurance relating to the grant received from the Arts Council of England. Following the previous audit recommendations, within the section 5 of the report, you have a more detailed update on the follow-up of those previous audit recommendations. And within table 6, you have the recommendation tracking. Invite any questions.
Any questions for Matt?
Yes, thank you, Chair. So with Longbridge Park and Ride,
Yep.
I've been on the committee now for 3 years, and I understand that this report came to the committee before I joined the committee. Actually, so it's been on here for a number of years. There's still remaining action, and it states that it's subject to capacity funding.
Mm-hmm.
If we don't secure that funding, is there a contingency plan of how we can fund that remaining action?
So whilst it's based on capacity funding, there is also a decision that had to be made for that one in terms of the charges. So essentially what was the recommendation was in relation to charging on Longbridge car park. Obviously, that is a car park which we are looking to realign charges potentially across the combined authority. So a decision had to be made because it affects more than one borough. And as such, it was a board decision that's reliant upon that. So I understand whilst the capacity funding is part of that, it's not the whole of the recommendation. What I can do is I can ask for a further update if you'd like one to this committee from the SRO, the senior responsible officer in terms of the project, to provide you some assurance in terms of that.
Thank you.
Any further questions? Yes.
You made some recommendations with the progress of the energy efficiency. Could you give me an update as to how you're progressing with that?
Yep. So in terms of that one, the recent update that we've had from the head of delivery was that further extensions were required due to the appointment of a new programme manager. So that's expected to commence in April of this year. And the procurement of a new reporting platform for energy efficiency. And so whilst there has been some effect to that recommendation and it has been pushed back, I understand that from May, June 26, we should have that recommendations, like those 2 outstanding ones completed.
Thank you for that assurance.
Anything else? I've got, just reading through the reports, there are some quite quick and easy wins there, isn't it? It'd be good to get some assurance that those quick and easy wins have been implemented. I have some serious concerns about the asset management report, and I did ask Peter to be here today, but I think we're doing that in private at the end of the meeting.
Yep.
Is that okay with you, Peter? You bear with us until we get to the end of
Yeah, no problem.
Thank you very much.
Just one question from me.
Yep.
On the Aldridge rail station, it says that 3.6 million has been spent so far. There's no further funding for the delivery of the project. So what's the sort of risk that money won't deliver anything?
So 3.6 million funding for the outline business case. Yeah.
So with the outline business case is to develop the detailed proposal. So I worked on that particular audit. I'm Karen Smith, and what will happen is once that's developed, then they'll bid for the funding. Once it's at a detailed business case stage, so it's all quite technical. They'll bid then for the rest of the money. I mean, I did raise that concern myself when I was looking at the work, but it's been agreed with the board and the Department of Transport. So it was like, okay, so it's been agreed that that's the way forward. They've got all the approvals in place, and the board did agree to commit to carry on, if you like, with that funding, albeit it might feel like it's at risk. But I think that's quite common, really, with the transport.
So it's an outline business case, so the funding would be there for the design phase of that, but then you would have to bid for more funding for the full business case.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much. Anything else for Matt before we move on? No? Thank you, Matt. That's very helpful. Moving on to agenda item 10, assurance performance report, and that's Jyoti. And Jyoti and I have had the meeting, and we've talked about a few weeks. I think I said at the last meeting, the report is very technical, and coming in new to it, quite difficult to get what we're actually saying. I think this is much better. It's clear assurance in here, and clearly spoke for anything that you want to raise with this committee if you have any areas of concern. So thank you for it.
Thank you. Morning, everybody. So most of you are familiar with the report format, but as the chair has stated, I've changed the format this time round just to provide a little bit more clarity. So section 1 provides the summary and purpose of the report. And as head of programme assurance and appraisal, I provide the advice and support on the single assurance arrangement. So the programme assurance framework arrangements that we have at the West Midlands Combined Authority that we have to are mandated to follow regarding the delivery of major programmes funded by devolved funding. So as the chair has said, section 1.2 confirms that we are compliant with the single assurance arrangements for the projects and programmes for this particular reporting period. I have raised some risks that they've been mitigated in terms of controls that we do have in place. The performance information through section 9.11 to 9.14 provides those observations regarding the delivery of programmes and projects for this reporting period. And then I've summarised in 9.15 the new arrangements that we have in place for new activities as well. What's particularly new in this reporting period is that we've received confirmation from MHCLG, and they've approved our assurance framework that we're mandated to update and refresh on an annual basis. So that confirmation came in December. They tested our controls and readiness controls in this area for the multi-year funding settlement. And we have also been initiating new activity through the integrated assessment separations, which we're aligned to staff as well. Questions for clarification.
Thank you, very comprehensive. Any questions for JT? No? You left off the No, very comprehensive. Thank you very much. Thank you. You don't need to vote on this, do you?
No.
Yeah.
I think it's also nice to see Jyoti here rather than on the screen.
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you. And then we got an update on the business continuity programme. Taking us to excellent, thank you. And again, very comprehensive report that helps me to understand better.
Thank you, yeah.
So thank you for that.
No problem. So thank you all very much. I'll make assumptions that the report has been read. There's a couple of updates since writing the report, obviously, because they came in just before Christmas. So first update that I'd like to give is with regards to the crisis communication plan, which at the time of submitting the paper was still very much in draft. But since Christmas, we now have a final version that is out for peer review across all operational plan owners, and that is proving a great way to actually confirm its suitability across the combined authority. And you will have noted in the paper that we did actually have a live incident in January. So that was a great test of our continuity plans, crisis communication, and all of those things. And everything did work successfully. The best way for me to kind of describe where we're at in the programme at the moment is all of the jigsaw pieces are on the table and they're all now fully formed jigsaw pieces. It's just now putting them into a finalised jigsaw as such. We've worked really, really hard on scoping what the combined authority needs now versus 2017 when the plan was first written, and then in 2019 when it was reviewed. And obviously we're continually growing and continually changing. So it is that ongoing kind of cycle of business continuity, but we are in a much greater position and place now to be able to respond to incidents and our kind of changing landscape. So I'd be open to any questions or any feedback or anything that anybody would like to put forward at this point. Any questions? Yes.
Just to understand, Chair, obviously I mentioned to you before, I'm not very, and I'm useless on ICT anyway, irrespective. You mentioned live incident in January.
Yeah.
I'm not sure the members know what you're talking
Okay.
about. Yeah, because you officers probably know, but none of us who
No,
have
that's
any
okay.
idea.
Yeah. So I can explain what that was. So on Sunday, the 4th of January, we had a burst water tank at the top of the building on the 9th floor, 60,000 litres of water down the middle of the building. That meant we had to close the building. The building was closed from 3 o'clock. It was fully evacuated. Fire emergency crews attended. Building was evacuated by the fire crew, all of our tenants, the whole building. And we were closed until Thursday. Thankfully, the bad weather meant that nobody wanted to come in Thursday and Friday, which was helpful to us. But that was the incident that happened. We managed to use the staff text message system, and some of those on the committee will remember when we talked about the staff text message system was used and successfully emitted text messages to all members of staff. We only, and I'm taking credit for this, had 5 people turn up to the building, 3 of which had actually got the text message, but they just hadn't read it. So 2 people turning up actually having not received that text message because they were out of signal on their phone actually was a really great response. We've had a couple of knock-on effects from the flood. Obviously, that is an awful lot of water coming down the middle of the building. We've had some knock-on effects, but everybody's worked really, really well. And actually, people could work from home digitally. All of the digital and data access was perfectly sound. So we had no customer impact or stakeholder impacts at all. The Regional Traffic Coordination Centre and the CCTV room successfully escalated and evacuated to their backup location. So all our services were provided, which was absolutely brilliant. I have an aspiration to get to a point where
potentially if we had a denial of access in the building, we could still be fully functional without a building for 5 days. That's my aspiration. That would show a truly resilient organisation. We managed 3 days with no building, but 5 days would be brilliant.
That's very good. Well done. Yeah, certainly. That was the day when I turned 77. But
Yeah.
so it wasn't.
You had a better day than I did.
It wasn't a curse on you. So that's great to hear. Actually, the system works very
Yeah,
good. Yeah,
right.
thank you.
Can I just say well done as
Yeah.
well? It shows the good actions
very
have been
good.
reported. Thank you.
Thank you. It's a lot of work, but we're
Yeah.
getting there. We're definitely, and Matt's going to do me a re-audit to hopefully show all of you.
Yeah.
I've done a great job too.
It seems very positive and also good to see that the incident has actually tested the resilience as well. Is it just, and I particularly like the report where it's setting out the areas that are still on the development. Is there anything, can you give us an update of where you are with getting the business continuity plan into a final version and getting it approved? And is there anything you want to bring to this committee's attention that you are concerned about?
There's nothing at the moment that I'm overly concerned about. For me, the business continuity plan very much is that final piece of the jigsaw, making sure that all our individual operational plans work, because they're the critical business functions without getting too technical for everyone. Making sure that they all work and all of those plans align is the most important part for me at the moment, and to demonstrate our engagement and training, exercise and validation. Our business continuity plan that was originally written in 2019, the structure is robust. I'm just kind of modernising it into a new function and ensuring that the documentation that supports the plan is in place. I'm confident. So we've had some slippage, and it won't be finished as I've documented in my report for what I'd originally hoped kind of this side of the financial year. But the evidence from the incident shows that we 100% know what to do with that kind of draft plan. I'd like to say it's sort of in an operational plan state at the moment, as opposed to a corporate wide plan. But there's no risk at the moment to delivering that. I want to deliver it at the right time, as opposed to a plan that isn't fit for purpose at the moment, because I still need to get all of my jigsaw pieces finished, if that's the sensible way of putting it. But we're definitely in a risk reduced place. The on-call review that was part of this has highlighted some areas that we need extra resilience in on-call, especially around the building, because we didn't have a physical building on-call structure, just a gold and silver. So going through this process methodically is actually giving greater resilience to what the combined authority needs. And the business continuity plan also needs to be finalised in view of what the future will be for the combined authority. So changes to Civil Contingencies Act, again, without being too technical, will mean if fire and police come under us, it changes the goalposts. We become a category 1 responder as opposed to category 2. So I'm not rushing to write everything. I want it to be right and robust so that we've got that. And I've talked about it in previous ones. I'm looking at it through 3 lenses. So what makes us resilient? What do we do for response? And then what does our recovery look like? And I don't want that to defer any of you from thinking that you haven't got assurance. It's just, for me, that final jigsaw piece is when everything else is right.
Yes.
Chair, can we have assurance that these may be completed by the next meeting?
I cannot confidently say that the continuity plan would be finished for the next meeting. The ambassadors are well underway at the moment. The on-call tiers will be. The 3 that are 2.2, 2.3 and 2.4 around the communications plan, the communications inclusivity, which is widened now not just to the network emergency plan, but all operational plans. And the communication sign-off will be closed by the April meeting. And then the business impact assessments and the IT requirements is an ongoing piece of work.
So definitely on here, 4 of those things will be closed out, but the business continuity plan won't be finalised by the next meeting. It's important that we get those other elements in place first.
Yeah, I think that will be good if you get 4 out of 5. And you mentioned blue light, I suppose, with the abolition of PCCs in 2028. Will you work with police and fire to look at the next arrangements for oversight of blue light services?
Yeah, so I'm working with Claire Darmy, who writes the strategy for those. Louise and I have had conversations around what that will look like, because we'll be entitled to extra funding and those sort of things. So I'm part of those project teams. We've also started a new cyber project team that Matt and I sit on to ensure all of that. So we'll definitely work with blue light services and what that looks like. Obviously, bus franchising as well brings a different level of resilience, response and recovery. So I'm in those project teams looking at what business continuity will look like in those areas as well. At the moment, it would seem that blue light services will retain all of their operational functions, etc., and will just align to our framework as opposed to changing anything that they do so well. And obviously, they have all of the legislative aspects that they need to comply with. It would just make reference to our framework and our sort of core structures is the hope for that.
Be useful to have. I don't suppose we know exactly what it would look like yet, but it would be useful to have in your report just a line in there for what it means in terms of preparation. Again, just for assurance purposes, really.
Yeah.
And that sounds like a good report all around.
Yeah.
And positive news. So thank you very much.
Well done.
Thank you.
Well done.
Thank you very much. I will leave you to it.
Thank you. So we move on to item 12.
Sorry, if I could, I'm just waiting for the officer for item 12 to come down. So can I recommend that we move to agenda item 13 if we've got Mark? And I will follow up with the officer.
Great. Couldn't hear what you were saying.
No, that's fine. Yes.
Trying to listen to what's being said as well. Thank you. So we have treasury management training before the briefing this morning from our treasury management advisors, which I think was very helpful for those who attended. And it helps to set the scene for the report that Mark is going to introduce now. So hopefully those of you who attended will have some hard questions to ask.
I look forward to them, Chair.
Think of some.
So yeah, good morning. Thank you, Chair. Thank you, members. The report before committee this morning consists of 3 strategies: our Treasury Management Policy Statement, our Treasury Management Strategy Statement, and our Minimum Revenue Provision Statement for financial year 26-27. And ARAC is recommended to review and endorse those various statements prior to onward approval by board at the end of this week. Just outlining the one brief change, I think, in terms of investment strategy, which is laid out in the report, is where we intend to or recommend increasing our limits with other local authorities as counterparties from the 1st of April onwards. The current limit is £30 million per authority per investment, and we would like to increase that to £50 million in the next financial year. The reasoning behind this is that our cash balances and the amounts available for investment have risen quite dramatically in recent times and continue to be elevated, and we expect them to be elevated throughout 26-27 as well. Certainly at an average level, perhaps £1 billion, and in the earlier part of the year, anywhere up to £1.3 to £1.4 billion as we receive our integrated settlement grant for the financial year in April, and is likely to be in the region of £500 million or so. So increasing that limit is, as I say, it's a limit rather than a target, but gives us capacity to place funds with very highly rated counterparties in other local authorities. Given the size of the portfolio, at any given point in time, we will still be well diversified, and no one counterparty would represent more than perhaps 3 to 5% of our total investment portfolio. So that's the one significant change in investment criteria that we're recommending this year. And I think rather than delve into the rest of the report, I'll open up for questions now.
I've got one question, Mark, just on the inter-authority market. Is that quite buoyant at the moment? Are local authorities still interested in lending to each other?
Very much so. If we have a way to perhaps describe it is that it's a little skewed, perhaps at this moment in time. There are possibly more borrowers than lenders. So we, I guess, are in the fortuitous position of being able to be a net lender. And particularly, there's a lot of seasonality in the inter-authority market as well. So as we approach the end of the financial year, many authorities tend to, for want of a better phrase, run out of cash and look to their peers for short-term borrowing. And those authorities who are in the position to be able to lend at that point in time can obviously get a pickup in yield returns, subject to the criteria that they put in place to lend to other local authorities. So we don't just lend to all local authorities. We do have some criteria involved in that as well.
So that's that. I know that market sometimes is very buoyant, and other times it dries up. And you just sort of partly answered my next question. Looking at the number of local authorities who are in exceptional financial support and the additional numbers who are applying for it for next year, do you have any local authorities you want to avoid, or are you looking at the overall credit rating for the government and local authorities, or have you got like a blacklist for want of a better?
So we do set out criteria, and it is contained within the investment strategy or within the report. We don't lend to authorities more than 1 month in advance. We think that seems prudent, because we can never be sure perhaps that an adverse decision with regard to a local authority might occur at some point in the future. So we don't lend too far in advance to local authorities. We don't lend to authorities who are currently under Section 114 notices, and we don't lend to authorities who are currently who have sought exceptional financial support in the financial year itself. We also invoke criteria by looking at the financial standings of other authorities, and tend to look at tend to discard those authorities who are in the lower quartile when it comes to those metrics, and concentrate on those authorities who are in the upper three-quarter quartile, if that makes sense.
Excellent, that's really good. Thank you. Any questions?
Just
yes.
Following up from that, Chair. I think last time, Mark, if I remember correctly, there was a list where we invested the money in the local authorities and everything else. That was a list downside. This time I couldn't find the list on it. Before you answer that, there was a comment made last time. Thanks, Karen, with your due respect. There was a question raised: are we lending anything to Birmingham? Now I think we are in budget in a sensible way. They have done the sort of good work on this. So is that position now squared up? And I'm just trying to think if that's the case. Yeah.
Do you want to come in?
Just to say that some lenders are coming back to us, and I would hope that, in line with what Mark said, that there would be a review once our budget for next year is agreed.
Yeah. Excellent. Did you want to add to that, Mark?
Yes, so just sort of picking up the points there. We set out the criteria within the report of those counterparties that we use. If I were to prepare a list of local authorities, it would be 330 local authorities out of 470 or so. So it'd be quite a long list to say as individuals, and also because it's subjective relative rather than absolute, authorities can kind of move up and down that list at given points during the course of the financial year as well. So we set out the criteria specifically. With regard to Birmingham, yes, I know that the improvements there. As we say, our criteria still sets out that if authorities are in a 114 position or have sought exceptional financial support, we won't invest with them at this point in time. But again, as circumstances change, authorities can therefore move in or out of scope.
So even those authorities who have sought EFS but not been granted EFS, would you necessarily know who they are?
It's a good point. So we would only go obviously based on MHCLG's published list of those who've sought and been granted it. We also look outside of those strict metrics, if you like, and we are monitoring local government press and financial press from time to time as well. So if there's publications that would suggest authorities might be moving in that direction, we monitor that.
Excellent. That's really good, I think.
Thank you. So I understand that we do borrow money to authorities across the country outside the combined authority. Can we, or are we allowed to, we may already, offer better terms to authorities who are members of the combined authority?
We've always, in terms of direct dealing, we've always sought to look at the metrics in the market itself to maintain value for money for our own investments. So we wouldn't be able to specifically offer a better rate of return for an individual authority, because obviously we look to produce the best value for money within the market scenario for our authority.
Yes.
Just going back on the issue of a list. Previously, Mark, you always attached the list with it. I think usually 2 pages. I remember and that's how we came to understand where the money is invested and so on. So now if the list is not there, it creates some kind of suspicion. It's not the right word in the mind that something is not right here. So I'm just thinking, it's just a 2 pages issue. It's not a bigger issue as an appendix on it. It just makes the things clarified a little bit more.
Sorry, my apologies. I think you're referring to our portfolio. So
yeah.
Yes, sorry.
Yeah.
Yes, so as obviously this is a document about the future, as it were, and about who we will invest with in the future. But I'm happy to send on as an extra document our current portfolio at this moment in time, so you can see where it stands.
Yeah, it's just a matter of issue process. That list should be attached with it. So future, not necessarily I need it or somebody else. Is to clarify is clarification where the money is and how it's being attended. Sorry.
I think Louise has got that, and I think as we're speaking as well, a list of authorities we weren't prepared to lend to would probably cause quite a bit of offence, wouldn't it? Even with people in this room. So I think we'll have to be a little bit careful with it. But I agree with you. I think it's good to see in the actual quarterly or update report which local authorities we have exposure to right now.
Absolutely agree, and we can add that to the next update, because that'll be the mid-year, will be the next time we report, won't it, Mark, for mid-year report? But it does...
so we always when we report at mid-year and out, we always include a portfolio analysis then. Actually, this is a policy document for the future year, but I can certainly send through our current portfolio for your scrutiny.
Thank you.
Louise, I think if you remember rightly, it's in the back of the green book, isn't it?
Oh, yes.
Yes.
Anything else? I had another question as well around MRP and the MRP policy, and we raised that at the training this morning. I think we got the auditors in as well. It'd be useful to sort of get an agreement on it, on loans to third parties. We suggested to you, Mark, at the training that you do some modelling to make sure that we make adequate provision through the principal repayment or MRP, or whether we need to top it off. But I think it would be good to get an agreement with the auditors. What approach we're taking? Is that a good way forward?
Yeah. So obviously we'll kind of look at it as part of the audit, but if it's something you'd rather we looked at sooner, we can probably factor it into the work that we're planning to do for interim in March.
I think that will be good, wouldn't it, to get it settled, so we don't need to sort of go over it. I did suggest as well you maybe take a small piece of advice on it, so you get that external assurance, and if they say we got to apply MRP as well, then we can do that. And if they say no, our current approach is prudent, then I suppose that's more acceptable for you than anything else. So can we put that in the work programme, Craig, or the action list or whatever, so we don't lose sight of it, so we get that closed up before we go into the next round of audit.
Yeah.
Anything else for Mark? Again, it's a very positive report.
Good.
Mark, and some good work going on there. That is enhancing the financial position. So well done.
Thank you.
Let's have the corruption back. Thank you, Mark. So are we going back to agenda item 12 now?
Yes, yeah, and we've got Fiona here to present.
Excellent. Hello.
Hello, thank you. Hopefully members have had a chance to look at the report. If I may just touch on some of the highlights. This is a report which looks at the work of the combined authority in relation to ensuring that we process data in a secure, safe and compliant manner with legislation. That work is increasingly in the background of quite a complex environment, particularly around the increase in electronic data within organisations, the advancement of technology, the ongoing threat of cyber attack risk, and particularly for the combined authorities, something that we particularly noticed is an increase in the demand for transparency of data. We have seen a significant increase in FOI and subject access requests. And I believe that is partly due to just the natural growth of the combined authority as we mature as an organisation and we become more well known. To tackle this, during 2025, a number of key steps were taken. The first was to appoint a new senior information risk owner in Mike Waters, who has a particular interest in this area and has really driven. Sorry,
I can't hear you down here.
Oh, sorry, I'll try and speak up.
No, actually, I love the small room, Chair.
I said that before.
Yeah, I must admit, I'd love Mike's as well,
Yeah.
because if you're 20, 30 foot away from someone and you're speaking normal, we can't hear you.
My apologies. I think I'm so used to being in the other room with the mic that I've sort of.
So it's a fact, you know.
I understand.
Fair fact.
Yes, agree.
I was just saying that during 2025, we've implemented a number of steps to try and address the whole area around secure and safe processing of data. One is the appointment of a new senior information risk owner. The second is to establish a new panel, internal panel of key officers and departments, and particularly aligning the work of the information governance team and the digital and data team, who essentially is the IT team, and making sure that the work of those two areas is overseen by a group. We've also implemented a AI policy. I'm sure members will be aware this is an increasing growth area of technology and is of particular importance when trying to manage data, because obviously AI systems will operate on good quality data, and getting that data in a secure, compliant and good quality is a key factor. Additionally to that, we have begun exploring Microsoft Purview. Now, Microsoft Purview is Microsoft's information governance tool. So like virtually all public bodies, we operate off Microsoft platforms to process data. And what Purview is advertised as offering is an ability to give data visibility to an organisation to understand how data flows through the data estate, to help with things like managing that data, the life cycle of it, from creation, version control, labelling, through ultimate deletion, and also to help with loss prevention. It is quite a complex piece, and we are currently in the process of deploying it in a test environment to understand how it can best be used before it's moved to a live environment. Members will have noticed that there are a number of points highlighted which are key challenges that we are looking to address, and those are particularly around data visibility and understanding the data estate, around getting consistency around how data is managed across the directorates, and dealing with aspects around duplication of data and the general flow of data. And there are work streams actively underway to try and bring that in a much more aligned manner. And those challenges, just going back to the original point I made, are really there because of how we handle data in the modern world and its increasing speed at which it is processed. So those are the sort of key points through the policy. All information governance work, data protection work is an ongoing matter for organisations and evolves and year by year. And I think 2025, we made significant steps to bring forward programmes to bring that under control. And I'm very pleased as Data Protection Officer, those are continuing this year and will be indeed escalated so that we can meet the challenges that all organisations face. Welcome any questions if anyone have any.
Thank you for your report, Anne. Regarding data protection, I've sat on a couple of appeals and it's been about staff accessing information that's not part of their job. For instance, someone in education accessing private information in adult social care. Can you tell me how we're coping with this aspect?
Yes.
Within the combined authority, do we have a problem, a risk, or is it being dealt with?
The significant challenge is around access control, and setting access control is principally around SharePoint and how the permissions around SharePoint are set. So that's something which I think all public bodies and anybody using Microsoft platforms have, because it's very easy to set up SharePoint sites, place data on them, but the ongoing management of who has access to them and who is permitted to view those is a challenge. In terms of how we are looking to address that, there is a significant piece of work being done on SharePoint. We have also recently employed a consultant who's an expert in SharePoint training, so that staff can be trained on the use of SharePoint. We are also, off the back of that, going to be looking at setting up within a more sort of smaller area how SharePoint should be best used, and then look to build and deploy that. Our digital and data teams are able to run reports on particular SharePoint sites to see how data is used there. Purview, Microsoft Purview will assist in that as well, because it will allow us to have visibility of how data is being viewed and in particular areas. But you're absolutely right. It is an area we recognise, and you may have noticed that I think there was 2 points within the data breaches were particularly around access to data. Look, fortunately, they were low-level data.
Can I just ask another question? We have passcodes, so someone working in this department can access the computer with a passcode. Do you use passcodes for different departments?
Yes, so generally speaking, each employee will have an account with the organisation. That account will be unique to that particular role. So at the points at which that role is created, the digital and data team will be provided with information on what level and what areas of the data estate they are permitted to access. So that is the primary control that is put in place. So, for example, I myself have access to the data which is relevant to my work, but I would not have access to, for example, HR or finance or other business areas because I have no reason to access that. And that is the way in which we manage that. Of course, all members of staff are required to have password entry into the areas they have, and that is two-factor authentication that is in place there.
This is a point where we mentioned cyber security, because even some of the biggest companies in the country are finding themselves vulnerable. And as the money we're involved with gets bigger, and I think it's going to get bigger, we can be quite potentially a target. It can be Russian, it can be anybody these days, or the Chinese army, I believe, are very good at it. But is this the point where we could mention or ask about cyber security as far as this organisation is concerned?
Yes, cybersecurity is absolutely a risk for all organisations, and we recognise that. Our digital and data team have a wide range of cyber security defence mechanisms in place. They are actively detecting issues which would be considered as potential compromises, whether they be phishing attacks or emails coming in which are viewed as suspicious, and they will be on a regular basis blocking those from coming in. The whole area of cyber is twofold. Firstly, stopping a particular attack, and that is where the IT is there in place to try and do that. The other aspect is, if you look at some of the problems which, for example, Jaguar Land Rover recently had, a lot of that was around getting yourself back up and operational post-attack, and that around is essentially around areas such as disaster contingency planning and so forth, and that is again something that we, like all organisations, are very mindful of and work on to be in a position that if we were ever subject to that, A, we can bring it under control and stop it, and B, that we have the backups to reactivate quickly as possible.
I think that's a really important point, and it is on the agenda for the April meeting. I'd like to see a sort of having worked with a local authority who had the cyber attack, it can't be said too much the damage that caused to that organisation, and it goes on for years.
Underestimated, yeah. Oh, exactly.
It is horrendous, and they're still living with the consequences now. I said that earlier on the agenda, but there was a contact at the City of London Police, who are the national cyber leads, and in my previous life we had some training from them, which was excellent, and I think it's helping people to think differently in things that we take for granted, that to watch out for different kind of traps, because you quite rightly say you don't know where it's coming from, and sometimes it is purely just malicious, that they want to cause as much damage as possible. So the report we're having for the April committee, we're really good to see some tangible progress in how we're protecting the organisation.
Yes, and it might be interesting to know, just on that point, that we are aligning ourselves to the Cyber Assessment Framework, which is the National Cyber Security Centre's advice, and that particularly has a list of central areas that organisations are expected to meet with advice from the central government organisation for protection against cyber attacks. So it's something that we are able to score ourselves against, and going forward as a committee, you'd be able to see where there are any sort of vulnerabilities within that framework.
And I think it goes a little bit beyond a self-assessment and scoring. Is having somebody, this is, look out for this, and this is it focuses the mind better than just a sort of tick box approach, I think. So that will be really helpful. Okay, any further questions, comments? Yes.
Just I just noticed that, because I didn't even follow up, I said before, 210, the issue of artificial intelligence. There's a group you set up for this. Remember, we have the same problem with the police here locally. So I'm just thinking of that, how that work, how that group is monitored on the first place, and how effective it can be. This understanding of it. Yeah.
Yes, so the policy that we put in place, one of the key aspects of that policy is that any use of AI, the policy requires a human check.
Yeah, that's what I was told. Yeah, sure.
We are not deploying any AI at the present moment in time, which would be automated decision making by a computer model. There's that particular aspect. A lot of the work around AI has been around Copilot, which is very similar to what Westminster Police were effectively using. But we are doing that. We have deployed that in a phased manner as a pilot, with particularly seeing how teams are using it, and assessing that use of it, to firstly make sure that, because these licenses are quite expensive, so we want to ensure that there's some actual benefit coming out of it, and secondly, to ensure that it is being used in a manner which does not cause the type of issues which we're perhaps seen in West Midlands Police, or reports are prepared which may not be entirely accurate. And that falls into the wider picture around managing the data estate, because models like that are pulling data out of the data estate. And if the data in the first place is not of a good quality, then you're going to end up with AI-generated information which is not reliable. So it's all part of a sort of interlinked approach across the whole piece as we move into the sort of modern world of IT and processing.
So we monitor by the humans rather than just leaving it go on. Yeah,
yes,
that's the way. Yeah, okay, thank you.
And it develops further over time as well, doesn't it? It becomes more intuitive and better.
Yeah.
Just one final question for me. On page 133, 2.18, you have a little table showing the 15 incidents. How would you know? So email sent to the wrong address 5, that doesn't sound very high. Is that just what's been reported to you, or have you? How do you know?
Yes, so these are what's been reported. We are reviewing the general sort of reporting mechanism, and we are in the process of moving it to a new platform on which it's reported. We anticipate that will result in an increase in a lot more lower level reporting. I think part of that will be because once we are on this new platform, we will go out with sort of more comms around it, so that we want to hear about your any incidents, so that we can track trends and see if there's any particular areas where those are happening. But yes, within that there is always going to be a factor of incidents that may have resulted in low level potentially what would be classed as a breach, but it's not being reported through.
No. I would imagine people wouldn't be keen to hold their hand up and say I've made a mistake, unless they had to.
Yes, so there is always that fear, but I think we always take the view that it's not a blame game. I mean, human error does happen, and the advantage of reporting is we can fix and try and address most things. But the longer they go on, the harder it can potentially get.
Yeah, that's good.
Just one
Yes.
more question.
Yes.
When you're formulating your strategy into data protection, do you use best practice, look at other companies or other authorities to help you to formulate your strategy?
Yes, we do, and whether that's
especially on cyber security.
Yes, we do. So best practice would be, obviously, we have the Information Commissioner who issues a lot of guidance around compliance with the legislation there. The National Cyber Security Centre provides, again, a lot of guidance on what they regard as best practice. Wider than that, there are forums set up, both of all the combined authorities across the country around this area, and also there's quite a healthy local information governance group, which includes all the information governance officers of all the local authorities within the region, combined authority, a number of NHS trusts and other public bodies. So we are able to sort of cross-reference on how we are working and managing stuff in that particular space.
Yeah. So with the 7 authorities, each officer would have a talk with their experience and pass on how they've dealt with it.
Yes, so we meet on a quarterly basis, and there's an agenda, and it might be around a particular area. So, for example, it might be around cyber, or it might be around document retention. That's a space in which we can sort of mutually share best practice.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Anything further? No, it's been really interesting. Thank you. Thank you very much. Yes, I'm just thinking, is there anything from an audit point of view that you wanted to raise before the external audit?
No.
No, could I? No, there's nothing. Just to confirm, we signed the 24-25 accounts. We've started planning for 25-26. We'll hopefully bring a plan to the next meeting and go from there.
Excellent. We're very pleased that it's done. Thank you. You going into private a bit here?
Sorry. Okay,